Hello and welcome to Triangle BNI. Today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech. Oak City Tech gives their clients an edge over their competition with web and logo design that make them stand out. They increase brand awareness, generate leads with SEO and social media presence, and then convert those leads into clients with content creation and email marketing. If you will go to oakcitytech.com, send them a note. They will call you back. Tell Drago we said hi. Hi, everybody. My name is Mike Manning, and each week we bring you a small business success story from Triangle BNI. If you are not familiar with BNI, it is Business Networking International, the world's largest networking organization. Our little slice of heaven here in the Triangle is Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill. Every week, 32 chapters and almost 580 members get together to help each other grow our small businesses. So if you or someone you know is looking to start a small business or grow a small business, please go to trianglebni.com, click on the button in the upper right-hand corner, says find a chapter, see what works for you, and come on out and visit. Our small business success story today is Mitchal Smith, the owner of Prometheyan, and they are a expert in payment company. I love little things I get on the websites on what you do. We're going to dig into that. Mitchal, glad to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
All right, so Mitchal is in RD 39. You guys meet Friday mornings at the Wake Forest Coffee Company on the second floor. I'm assuming you're a morning person, right? 8 a.m.?
Yeah, gotta be meeting and networking when can't be mean with businesses. Absolutely.
I'm with you. My mom, as we get older and you look at, I don't know if you've taken stock. Do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes,
Okay.
5 of them.
Okay, so we'll get into that too. If you take stock of the gene pool you get from your parents, and you look at, like my dad, great spatial relations. When we would go anywhere growing up, he'd say, okay, everybody take your suitcases out to the car and just come back inside. And there'll be 82 things to pack. And we'll go inside, and 5 minutes later, he'll come back in, the trunk is just perfectly packed. Nothing where it shouldn't be, nothing in the backseat of the car. It's all in the trunk. And he never passed on that gene to me, but my mom passed on the let's get up early and get things done gene. So I'm a morning person with you. So how did you find this chapter?
Let's see.
And how many others did you visit?
I visited quite a few, actually. I searched around looking for chapters because I had been in BNI in the DC area where I had started my business. And so I knew the importance of the quality of the members and having the right assortment of people that get things done. And so I had actually visited quite a few. And then I saw that a different Mike Davis.
Yes, friend of the show. He was on a couple weeks ago. Yep.
That chapter.
Yep.
And I had, by happenstance, met him a while previous. Our kids were at the same farm place. I can't even remember the name of it now, but we were there and we just got talking. And so I saw that he was in there. And so I called him up. Hey, tell me about your group, why you're in there. I visited that one, and that one ended up being a really good fit.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Love
good.
The members.
Yeah, Mike's good dude. Good storyteller. He's got plenty. Prometheyan, you guys, if we simplify it for people, you guys do credit card processing.
Yep.
Okay. Now, that on its own to people in the business world, okay, we kind of get that. But if you're not in the business world, consumers really never see you very much, do they?
No, we're a lot of times behind the scenes, and the only time people usually hear about the industry is when Home Depot or somebody screws up, and everybody gets breached. Everybody's lost a whole bunch of money. Cards are reissued. That's the only time my industry ever gets any sort of attention. So
there are 100 things you guys do with businesses behind the scenes, because we think of, I come up to the cash register. They ring up my order. I hand them my credit card. Either I put in the chip or they take it and swipe it. But there's way more to that. I know you guys, and we talked a second ago about experts in payments, but loyalty, rewards cards, right? Hardware, wiring and everything. You guys are knee deep in all of this.
Yes.
Who's an ultimate client for you guys?
We do a wide variety of different clientele. Anything from service companies to restaurants. And I guess if we were to put in the top 3 orders, it would probably be first restaurants, second service companies, and then third medical.
Yep.
So as far as just percentage of client base.
Cool. We were talking earlier with Amnon before the show about names of companies, and some are easy, some are not. Prometheyan, I know there's a good story there, right?
Yes.
All right. So what's the story on the name?
So I'm a big nerd. Uh, so uh, and I loved mythology growing up. And so if anybody's familiar with Prometheus, it's the Titan that brought fire and industry to mankind and was the one that took them to being basically savages and took them to fire age, being able to make tools and weapons and being able to build great kingdoms. And actually Prometheus was punished for bringing it to mankind and was tortured for time and all eternity from the gods, from turning their nice little worshipers that just had rocks and stones to being somebody that could be smart enough to challenge them one day.
Always a good
And
pot
so,
stirrer in there.
yes. And so, yes, same sort of way. I like to stir things up. I like to mess with the status quo and like to feel like I'm bringing that same sort of attitude and environment to businesses.
How did you get all this started?
Accident.
Good. I like that.
Plain and simple. I had actually started my career in the insurance industry, selling insurance.
Yep.
Failed miserably.
Good.
And,
I love those stories that lead to other stuff because some people think you fail once and you're done.
Oh,
It's not
man.
even close.
So
Not even close.
So yeah, this was back in Utah, and my wife's actually from right outside of the Washington, D.C. area. So after I lost my job, we moved closer to being near her family, and I wanted to look for something safe, just gone from commission sales. And so I started looking around. I have a strong financial background, so hey, let me look for a job as a banker or something like that. So started looking. Nah. And so as time went on, I got desperate. And so I found a job with a company selling merchant services. And as time went on, I found that clicked. I love working with business owners. That to me was just so much more appealing, working with people that create things than, meeting with mom and dad at 8:00 at night to talk about life insurance.
Yeah.
It clicked.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed working with businesses. So after being with that company for a number of years and moving up in the ranks, the field trainer to the director of sales, it was time to go and do it myself. And
Was it a first cold call or first actual deal that you were part of that kind of triggered all this?
the first time selling with that company,
Yeah. Or did just the knowledge come easy of the product?
it actually is quite complicated. Took a while to learn. It takes quite a few months to master. So I actually took longer to master than probably insurance. But yeah, I remember one of my first clients I do remember was a Mexican restaurant uh, in that area. Great Mexican food, La Chocita Grill. Check them out if you're up out there in Leesburg. But I remember sitting down with the business owner and taking a look at his statements and what he was doing and the amount of money I was able to save him. And then not just that, but being able to implement a system where he is able to sell gift cards and reward his customer. And this was years ago, so technology wasn't great. It was a little terminal, plastic gift cards, plastic loyalty cards, but it made a huge difference for his business. Just that little package and the money I saved him gave him a whole lot more revenue. And I remember thinking, this is a lot more fun. Making businesses more money, making them more profitable, putting better processes in place. This is a lot more fun. And yes, from there I was hooked.
Was this a cold call that got you in front of him?
This was actually a call center appointment, if I remember.
All right.
So that was nice enough to not have to cold call, but I've done my fair share of that.
So this would have been 2000 and what?
When did I start with that? 2011, 2012.
Right. How much was he paying? It's like a god-awful percentage.
I don't remember the total amount. I remember I was saving him like $300 a month, which for a small little Mexican restaurant is quite a bit.
Oh yeah.
For some of my clients, that wouldn't mean much, but for him, it freed up a whole lot of money to do other things he needed to for the business.
And I talk about this all the time on the show and in BNI as well. Matt Yablonowski with retained revenue is I think he's like one of the first 5 or 6 guests we had on the show. But what I'm learning from him is what I've come to appreciate in BNI is that local contact. So they have Mitchal Smith's cell phone number. So if anything happens, they can call you versus the 1-800 numbers. They got to punch in 16 digits. They get somebody in Topeka, Kansas, could care less about your business in Cary.
Uh-huh.
So I love that part about it, where you can knock on somebody's door and go, I'm local. I'm right here. I'm a small business owner. I'm local. And I know that makes a lot of people happy because they truly want to deal with local people, don't they?
Yes. Yeah, it definitely makes a big difference when you have a contact in this industry. Most people are used to calling a 1-800
Yeah.
number, being put on hold for 30 minutes. So, yeah, having somebody that can streamline the process, somebody local, and somebody who a lot of times doesn't even need to go through the process of calling people or emailing people to be able to fix the problem. That's the nice thing about having enough industry knowledge is you can fix a lot of the things yourself and streamline the process of customer service for sure.
And what a lot of us offer, what most small businesses, no matter what city you're living in, offer, usually versus the big box stores and the corporate logos and everything, we can usually do a better price. But what I've found is the customer service end is just blows them away
Mhm.
because we're local and they can call. And I know that's probably won you some deals, right?
Yes, being able to service the client better. But also, surprisingly, I find that a lot of times, even the big competitors don't do a great job at making sure that all their different services and software talk to each other. Even the big ones,
Really?
everybody uses QuickBooks,
Yeah.
everybody has a website, everybody has email. And so being able to put in place solutions where everything talks to each other, their payment piece to QuickBooks, that's been a huge, huge reason that a lot of people do business with us is we actually take the time to learn enough about their business to make our suggestions of what product and service should be there, work with everything else and not just say, "Hey, we got the greatest stuff. Here, we're gonna sell it to you, and then you can deal with it and make sure it works with your own business."
I don't enjoy doing broad brush strokes, but when it comes to national companies versus local small business owners, again, whatever city you're in, for the national companies, a lot of it we hear all the time, oh, it's just a numbers game. And a lot of times it is. But with small business owners, this is our life. If I bring you on as a client, I'd really, really like to keep you because you
Uh-huh.
want to develop a relationship. But and we've all gotten great advice from bosses in previous years. And one of my bosses said, hey, it's a whole lot easier and cheaper to keep a client. And I know you found that as well, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. It's always so much better to just keep your
Yeah.
customers happy than to go out and look for more. That doesn't mean you should ever, ever stop looking for
Oh,
more
no,
clients,
no, not at all.
ever, and that should always be one of your number one priorities
Mm.
because you can only retain a customer if you got them in the
I
first
know.
place. But you're right,
Yeah.
it's a lot less expensive to keep one than to
And
find a
you
new one.
probably are a customer of some of your customers, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and
I
now and that again strengthens that relationship, doesn't it?
Yeah, I actually just got a client just a couple weeks ago by going and doing business with them. They saw me there, we got talking, and then they say, "Hey, I wanna do business with you," 'cause it matters to businesses.
It does.
If you can ever do business with
Yep.
the people you wanna do business with,
Mhm.
it's not always possible, like, if you work with car dealerships, you can't be buying a new car every week, to get their business, but
Yep.
if it's a restaurant, HVAC company, landscaper,
Mhm.
if it's somebody that it makes
Yep.
sense and it would actually help you to do
Oh,
business
yeah.
with them, do it.
Yeah.
If you say buy local and you're not buying local, you know, sell your product, but I shop at Walmart each week and I
Yes.
eat at big box chains, eh, that that gives you a lack of credibility.
Yeah.
Shop local
No,
if
I'm
you
with you.
believe in and them doing business with you.
Let your actions follow your words, which is another I was listening to a podcast the other day about social media these days, and people will rant about something. You think they're all cool and everything. Like, well, I'm never buying tickets to that fill in the blank again. And then like a month later, they bought tickets. I was
Yeah.
like, yeah. But I'm with you on the small business life is walking the walk. If you want to build a client base and a client relationship to be a customer of theirs, and relationships, referrals are relationships or come from relationships. And we know that. I think we could all, most small business owners could tell you that the stronger you develop that relationship, the better the longer you have the opportunities you have to keep them as a client.
I
So
agree.
let's go back to the transition because small business ownership's not for everybody.
Hmm.
As a business coach, we come across people it's like, yeah, I don't think you're quite ready yet. Because it's hard. You got to go all in on yourself and you got to want that lifestyle. So what was that transition like when you first started thinking about, you know what, sweetie, let's get the kids to bed. We got to talk. I really, really want to do this. So how did that phase go?
Very painfully. You know, I'm glad I had the arrogance to think I could do it and go knock it out of the
But you
ballpark
have
right
to.
away.
You
But
have to.
you're right. You do have
You
to.
got to do some homework, but you got to have that arrogance about yourself. It's like, you know what? I can do this.
Yeah, so I thought, hey, I've got the contacts. I've been in this
Hmm.
industry. I can replace my income in less than a
I
year.
know.
And so I'm going to take out this little bank loan and
Mhm.
I'm going to just have at it and I'm going to take the world on.
Oh, yeah.
And unfortunately, it doesn't always end up that
Mhm.
way.
Nope,
Um,
it does not.
so I'm a big believer now. I wish I'd read the book before, but in what's called the 10x rule. Are you
Yes.
familiar with
Yeah.
that? Grant
Oh, yeah.
Cardone. So it takes about 10 times as much effort as you think you'll
Oh, big
have
time.
to.
Yeah.
And I found that out the hard way. Now, thankfully, I did get my act together, which is why I'm still in business, but it did take quite a bit more work to get to where I
Yeah.
wanted to. And it took a lot more sacrifice, but oh man, am I happy that I am where I am now.
You
So
have those days where you land that first client or you get 2 in a week. You're like, you know what? I got this. I am
yep,
so built for this. And then the next 3 weeks, you get nothing.
yep.
Nobody will return your phone calls. Every business you walk in, we're good, or they tell you something else. And then, but you're going to go through that. But
Hmm.
if you enjoy being a small business owner and you're okay betting on yourself, you know what you're doing. It's a wonderful life, but
Yeah,
it's not for everybody, is it?
no, it's not.
All right. You have wife and 4 kids. All
Yes.
right. So one of my favorite questions on the show is I always ask people, how did you meet your spouse? And you both tell the story the same way.
So I met my wonderful wife, Julie, in actually a group home for troubled youth. Uh, my wife, it was a psychology major, and I was a social work major, actually, to begin with. So
Now
didn't
you credit card company and all that.
right. So
Natural
quite a few
transition, right?
changes, natural transitions. But we'd work together, but at different homes. And actually, we had a boss of ours say, "Hey, you two should go on a date with each
And
other."
was this at school?
We were going to school at the time, but this was a group home
Where?
we worked at in Utah.
Okay, gotcha. Right.
So troubled youth, kids that had really
Okay.
screwed up their lives.
Oh man.
So we were both
Saw some
leads,
stuff. Yep.
myself at the boys' home, her at the girls' home.
Mm.
And we went on a date with each other. I finally got up the courage to go with the advice and ask her out. And a very simple first date. We went bowling,
All right.
and we had a lot of fun at the date, but we decided to make it a bit interesting. We had decided whoever lost this next game, which I thought I had it in the bag. The other person would get to take them to what was called Deseret Industries over there. It would be the equivalent to, say, a Salvation Army or, really low end thrift store.
Okay. All right.
And that person would have to dress in whatever we picked for the person.
Nice. Okay.
And so I ended up losing. And so, but I still won because it made us go on another date with each
Yeah, it
other.
did. It
So,
did.
and she did a pretty good job dressing me in some pretty embarrassing clothing. So I had these blinged out camouflage slippers. I had it wasn't even Christmas time, and I had a big old shirt with a reindeer on it that said "My roof or yours." Big tall beanie hat, a little kid's backpack, and
Nice
and some
accessory.
old school gym shorts, and to follow up with that, we had to go out in public
That was my
dressed like
next
that
idea.
with the
Right.
other person. So that was the next step to the bed. And so we went to the mall with me dressed up like this. But here's the bad thing about me is I knew how to turn this around to make it a lot more embarrassing to her. So I'm dressed like this. So I act like I have special needs the
Uh-huh.
rest of the time. My poor then,
Yeah.
just friend, but I was yelling at the top of my lungs, "Auntie Jules, Auntie Jules, let's go to Build-A-Bear Workshop. Let's go,
Yeah.
and people are looking and saying, "Oh, how sweet!" And I've got her by the arm, and she thinks she's got, because the way I'm
Yeah.
dressed as an adult, no
Well, and
regular
you're
adult's
taller than
dressed
average
like
as well,
that.
so that just added
So,
to it,
so
right?
I'm looking like Green Mile, dude, like dressed up all funky, going through this place. But she played along, and that's
Okay.
why I knew she's the one for me. Is she rolled with it. We had a blast, and we were inseparable from then on out.
That's a wonderful bet. I've not heard that usually. Now it's good for the guy. Speaking for guys, it's good for us if we can make a bet that guarantees a second date if we really, really want to go out with a girl. So kudos to you for that. But who came up with the idea, first of all, of the bet and then the consequence?
So the bet and the consequence were my idea. She might disagree with me, but
Okay.
if my memory serves right,
Next
I
time
was
I
the one
see her,
that
I'll
came
ask
with
you.
it.
That's
But so yeah, I came up with the idea,
Okay.
and
Too
we had some
funny.
fun. It was just to make the bowling a little bit more
Oh, yeah.
exciting. But
Tell me you didn't lose with a 112. You lost with a 172.
no, might have not broken 100 that game. It was a pretty bad game where she won. So,
So that was, and you knew going through the mall if she could put up with this, right?
oh
She's a
yeah,
keeper.
yeah. No, we just had so much fun, and she's always been a good match for me.
How long after that were you engaged and then married?
That's a good question. We got engaged pretty fast. It was probably about 3 months after that. We were engaged for a while before we got
Yeah.
married, but
Okay.
it was pretty soon after
Too
that
funny.
we knew.
So, who's the boss that introduced you to? Was this both your bosses?
Yeah,
Okay. And how was it a he or a she? How
Tanya.
did she describe Julie to you?
Just it was actually not a great description. Just, hey, there's this really cute girl and
Alright.
she's great. I think you guys would be good with each
Yeah.
other. And I'd met her briefly, so I already knew I
Oh,
thought she
okay.
was attractive.
Okay. All right.
So didn't have to tug on me too hard to
Yeah,
go on a date.
So
But
then the follow-up question for me, if Julie were here, is okay. All right, nobody's listening, just us here. How long did you have to be convinced to go out with him? And do you think she remembered meeting you, or did you just see her?
She did.
Okay,
She does
all right.
remember, and she
Okay.
describes our meeting a little bit differently than I do. She's like, "Oh, you're smitten from me from the get-go," and I was like, "You were so nervous around me." I don't remember it being that way. I just remember thinking she was cute and talking to her for a second. But
Nice.
apparently, I was super nervous, like, or if she were to tell the story.
Well, how did she get to Utah from DC, from the DC area?
She ended up going to school out there.
Okay.
She also had a few family members out
Okay.
there.
All right.
But
Okay.
yeah, it was school that brought her out to
So,
Utah
all right, so
originally.
we go from the mall date to 4 kids now.
Uh-huh.
What are the age ranges?
6'4", newborn.
Oh, Mitch. Dude, boys or girls?
Woo! 2 boys, 2 girls.
Who are the old? What's the pecking order?
2 girls are at the oldest, 2 boys at the top. Like, yeah, I'm not sure we could have planned it better if we wanted to.
And how old is the newborn?
He's 9 months now.
Okay. You have sisters?
Yes.
Okay. Where are you in the pecking order?
I'm the very oldest of 6
Oh, okay.
kids.
Well, this won't apply to you then. Your youngest son, those girls are going to dress him up in stuff and
Yes.
try out new things with him. Yeah. Yeah. So have they gotten around to wanting to paint your fingernails and toenails yet?
I haven't let him go that far.
You'll do that.
I'll play house. I'll sit down with the
Yeah.
girls and I'll tell them stories and I'll do the Princess and the Magic Kingdom thing. They're not touching the nails.
Yeah, they are.
So-
One day, one of them's going to come up, Daddy, can I
Yeah.
paint? You're going to have to do it. And I have 2 boys.
Uh-huh.
If I had a girl, I would have let her do that. I've got 4 nieces, and they did that to their dads.
Uh-huh.
And it's a badge of honor when you go out in public and other dads with daughters see that, because there could be some dads like, nah, I would never do that. And you walk in and go, hey, people, I'm the coolest dad ever.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, what does Julie do?
She is CEO of our household.
Okay. The hardest job there is.
Yes.
Raising
So
kids. Yep.
her background, she has her degree in psychology, and she's actually a classically trained singer. And she's actually,
Really?
now that, because I think we're done having kids, but she's going to get back into it and performing, and
Ooh.
lovely voice.
What kind of music?
Classical. So
Okay.
she can do opera. She can do
Oh,
Broadway.
wow.
She can She can belt it out.
When did you know in the relationship she could sing?
It took a while because that's not really something
Mhm.
that comes up, but
Yeah.
able to see her perform a few
Oh,
times, and
really? Oh, nice.
she's
Okay.
yeah, lovely voice.
Oh, it's great for the
Great.
kids to sing them to sleep and lullabies and
Yeah,
stuff?
she's a very good pianist as
Uh,
well, so she can play piano and
are you allowed
sing.
to sing with her to the kids or
No, it's funny. She has this list of things. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe all women do this, but they have a list of she had a list of things she wanted her husband to have,
I know,
and
yeah.
and she's like, "You checked off almost every single one except this one." And she wanted somebody that was musically talented and trained, which I am just not. I have an awful singing voice. I can barely play piano, played a little bit of clarinet growing up, but no musical talents to speak of.
My wife wanted somebody who could dance. She loves going out and
Mhm.
she loves dancing. She's a really good dancer. And we're laughing as we got to know each other. And obviously the relationship went, down the road. We ended up, before we got married, we're kind of, somehow that came up in conversation one night. And we're going, somehow we got on the list. She goes, well, at the top of my list was I wanted to marry somebody that could dance. And which again, further confirms my point that the heart wants what the heart wants. Cause I can't dance a lick. I just will go to parties and stuff like that, and I'll just tell everybody, I'll tell her, just go dance. I'm good right over here. I'll hang here. I'll slow dance with you. But man, if there's any rhythm that needs to be had, I ain't it. I ain't
Yeah.
it. So yeah, it's funny that it comes to that.
But
It's
do you
like,
have the musical talent? Anything
oh,
there?
none,
Oh,
absolutely
okay.
none. And thankfully, our boys got dancing gene from their mother because they can both dance.
No, and that's fun, and
Yeah,
that's something I wish I'd get a little bit more back into because that's something you can do your whole life. So,
no, if
some
you
things like
can't.
the sports I played,
Well,
can't do
that's
it
different.
anymore.
I
Yeah.
sport talent I have. I can't find the beat
Uh,
to dance to it. And we'll be driving down the road sometimes and there'll be a song on the radio and she'll say, "Okay, tap my knee to the beat." And I'm good for like 9 seconds and then I get off beat real fast. And she starts laughing. So it's funny when we write things down, it's like, here's what I'm looking for in the perfect world. It's so easy back then. They got to do
uh-huh.
this. So, but I like that. The fact, because again, the heart wants what the heart wants when the heart
Yeah.
beats the person. So I'm a firm believer in that. So 4 kids, where do the grandparents live?
The grandparents, one sets in Virginia and the other sets in Utah.
Okay.
So,
The ones in Virginia are her folks.
yes.
Are there other grandkids in the mix, or your 4 are the only 4?
No, both of us came from 6 children. So, she was the
Jeez.
youngest 6, I was the oldest of 6, and so, there's quite a bit of grandchildren on
Well,
both
how big was the
sides.
wedding? Just family.
Yeah, we didn't go too far outside of family, and there's still a
Oh,
decent crowd
yeah.
at both receptions, the one in Utah and the one in Virginia,
Now,
so
when you go to reunions for her side of the family, are you 9 out of 10 with faces, 4 out of 10 with names?
oh,
Or
man.
how do you, because my wife comes from a big family, big Texas family. And it's like I remember, I'm seeing a lot of them, but when we started dating, we were going to these because we were living in Texas. I'd go visit. I could start remember, oh yeah, that's right. He's with her and they've got to, but names, not now,
Yeah,
not
names are
happening.
still pretty tough. I fortunately really like her family, so
Good. That helps.
I get along with them. I stay in touch with a lot of them,
Okay.
but there's enough that I don't know them all,
I'm with you.
as you
And when you get the
said
family
yourself.
Christmas cards, does she have to remind you who they are? Because you see the picture on the cover,
Uh-huh.
it's like, I really, I know them. I know their family, but I don't know where they are.
She
Because then you
does.
have to put them in the pecking order, side of the family. No, they're the ones that live in Georgia. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No question.
What do your kids call the grandparents?
So, the ones in Virginia are Gigi and Papa,
Nice.
and the ones in Utah are just grandma and grandpa.
Okay, and those are your folks.
Yes, those are
Okay.
my
How
folks.
many grandkids do your folks have?
Let's see. I think they're up to 10 now in
Nice.
total. So 6
See,
others besides our 4.
yeah, I got one, and he's a ton of fun. So I used to imagine 6 or 8 are way better.
How old's yours now?
19 months. I was just
Cool.
there this Saturday, and we're learning a lot of new things.
So he's getting to a point where he can thump around with Grandpa a little
Oh yeah,
bit.
he comes.
Yeah.
I was telling Amnon, he comes to grab my hand. He goes bye bye because he can't say let's go in the other room and play basketball. So he says bye bye. And he grabs my hand and we walk in the other room. And
That's
oh yeah,
awesome.
yeah, we'll push him down the tracks in his car and play basketball. He'll throw anything through the basketball hoop. So, but that's fun. So I can imagine with your folks with 8 or 10 or 9 or how many they have is cool. So,
Yeah.
All right. So who says you're done with kids? You or Julie?
It's kind of been both of us.
Okay, good. Because I say that to give you some hope that you have a say-so in this, because you don't.
Yeah,
You don't. It's her body. If she's done, she's done. Yeah.
4, we did it right the first time.
Even
2
number.
and 2,
Table
4
for 6,
kids.
please.
Yes.
Minivans fit 6. You're good,
So,
right?
not that, wouldn't probably be fun to have more, but it's enough.
And then
us.
everybody
We've
can pair
done
off with each
right.
other, right?
Yeah.
All right, so what I'm sounding like is people need to call you. You need some more business, pay for some diapers and stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Formula, spit rags.
Yeah, get the more clients in, help pay for the college.
We have a family friend of
Sports.
ours. He and his wife just had a baby like 6 or 7 months ago, and we saw them. Forget when we saw them last, but I said, all right, here's my advice to you. If anybody ever says, hey, what do you need? Just diapers. Diapers, give them the size, just diapers and spit up rags. You can take care of everything else, but just keep sending diapers. Because
diapers are expensive, man.
For people who don't have kids, you don't realize you're going to go through 10 a day. Just do the math. Okay, they come in a bag of 60. I can't even go a whole week on that bag.
Right.
So, and they're not cheap. So
no,
but 4 kids and a wife and 5 siblings. Nice. Okay, I like that. We are here with Mitchal Smith, owner of Prometheyan. Mitch is in RD 39, which meets Friday mornings at 8 a.m. at the Wake Forest Coffee Company. If you're in the area, please stop by. A rather entertaining group. Mitchell, today's show is brought to you by Oak City Tech, where they help you reach your goals with proven technologies for increasing traffic leads and sales. Go to oakcitytech.com, send him a note, tell Drago we said hi. All right, so we've referenced the state of Utah. So now we need to get in your epic collegiate career. You went to the University of Utah.
Yes.
Why did you decide on going to Utah?
Because I had this funny idea in my head that I was going to become a doctor. And it has one of the top medical programs in the U.S.
All right.
So that funny idea was kicked out of me pretty fast after actually going and taking the courses I needed.
Was it the blood or the math or the science that you needed to do?
Science kicked my butt pretty badly.
Yeah.
I thought I had a good grasp on science, and no, the few intro biology courses let me know that I didn't enjoy it, and I didn't want to go through 10 more years of that. So.
There's some majors you can get down the road with and kind of branch off a little bit to something else. Medicine, you're either all in or you're all out, because that's a lot of time you can't get back.
Yeah, so I have a great amount of respect for doctors and what they've gone through, because the ADD wasn't letting me do that.
Is there a family tie to the University of Utah?
No, actually. My mom did end up going there afterwards and graduating.
Okay.
But I picked it because of what I wanted to do for a living. And
now, so what reaction did your parents have to that? Medicine.
The fact that I wanted to go in the first place, or the fact that I dropped out of it, or both?
They're probably less surprised that you dropped out, right?
Sure.
If you had nothing that said, I want to be a doctor growing up, I know all the sciences, I could do that.
They encouraged me quite a bit, actually.
Well, good, as parents should,
to become a doctor, and they thought I could do it, and they were rah-rah. My parents have always been very supportive, so...
Oh, okay. I'm with you with science. 5th period biology was right after lunch in high school. Back in the day, we used overhead projectors, so the teacher turns the light out, and you're like 4 of us sleeping in the back.
Yeah.
I hated that class, so I'm with you on that. So I always like to look at distinguished alums of universities, and we're hoping that this hour for the show will elevate your status within University of Utah alums. We'll see. A couple of interesting names. Stephen Covey, the author, 7
Habits of Highly
Successful People. Yeah, wonderful. Did not know that. John Warnock. You know that name?
Oh.
Adobe.
Oh,
He started
really?
Adobe, yeah. And Grant, at the University of Utah, there's tons of athletes that went there. Alex Smith, the quarterback,
Yeah.
Star Latulele, I think used to play for the Panthers here. So there's a healthy number of athletes that came out of Utah, which I kind of had an idea. One of my favorites, Nolan Bushnell. Anybody? He started Atari,
Oh, I saw
but
a documentary about him,
yeah,
thinking Nolan
but his
Bushnell now.
his
Yeah.
claim to fame, people, and every parent will know this, Chuck E. Cheese.
Now that part I didn't know. I knew about the Atari.
Yeah, but Chuck E. Cheese is like, oh gosh, I remember those
So he
days.
was the founder of
Yeah,
Chuck E.
yep,
Cheese.
I like that a lot.
Huh.
And for those of us who have been to Chuck E. Cheese, you're like, oh man, you just hope not to your kids. There's certain stages you want your kids to get out of. Thankfully, we missed the Barney days, which I'm glad we went straight to the Power Rangers, which were awesome, still wonderful. But there's some things like, God, I hope I never have to go to one of these parties at this place again.
Yeah.
So I hope they make a lot of money because that's just, oh, that was tough. So, Jay Willard Marriott,
Mm-hmm.
who knew that? I did not know he went to University of Utah and started there.
Yeah, the Marriott
Yeah.
family is
I'm
done
sure they got
quite
names
well.
everywhere, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's a name I knew from when we lived in Houston, Robert Jarvik, the artificial heart, the Jarvik 7 artificial heart, one of the first ones I believe out there. So, yeah. So I think now there are like 30 names. So I just sensed you were like 35th or 36th on the list. Just the website ran out of spaces for pictures. But I'm hoping this will raise. Okay.
Hopefully we'll get there.
Give me a good. I've got your work history, and we're gonna get to some of that eventually one day. I always bring a bunch of notes, and sometimes we get to it, sometimes we don't. That's fine. But you got to have a good high school job story that either lasted for an hour or was, this isn't gonna work, or me and my buddies.
I've got a few if we're going to go down that road.
We are. Yeah, make everybody tell the story.
My
so just
first
lead with your
job,
best.
I lasted a whole day. So we had moved to a new city that I wasn't familiar with, and this was before GPS was super prevalent.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was pizza delivery.
Oh no.
And the poor people that they had given me the pizzas to deliver to, I was calling them, trying to figure out the neighborhoods.
Left
like
on
really
what? There's
confused.
no left right here.
Yeah, and I got lost and stressed out. And
man.
so at the end of the night, I came back in, and the manager said, "This isn't going to work out for you, is it?" I was like, "No." And so went from there to Wendy's, and I was actually at Wendy's all throughout my high school career. Loved it. Loved working at Wendy's.
What was the minimum wage back then? You remember? And we're not talking that long ago, but
$5.15.
Oh,
so
man, you're making a ton.
I started at $5.25 at Wendy's and was at $7.25 by the time I left.
Really?
There. Yeah.
Dang. That was
so
good money
I moved
then.
up the minimum wage ranks, but I thrived there.
See, my high school job was at there's place called I think there's one left called Roy Rogers. Anyways, barbecue.
Yeah, they're still around.
And back in the day, so this would have been 77, I think, 78. The word back then was he was getting $300 a month from all 350 stores. So that's good money back then. Really good barbecue.
Mm-hmm.
I think I was there when we finally got to $3.05 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
That was big time. We were just, you work 6 hours, like, dang, I just made $18, and gas was 35 cents, I think, a gallon back then. But I digress on stories like that. So one day delivering pizzas with no GPS, that does make it difficult.
Yeah,
because they can write down all the directions you want, make a left here, and they forget about that road. Oh, it's this. Oh, did I say the second left? I meant the first left.
Yeah, it was awful. I still remember how stressed out I was that night and just how beside myself,
Did you
First
get any
job, I thought I was a failure. Yeah,
did you get any of them delivered?
2 out of the 3. So,
was this a local pizza place?
It was a chain, $5 pizza. I don't know if it's made it out east, but there's a decent amount of them in the west. So.
Yeah, kudos to delivery people. I wouldn't want to be the guy because last thing you want to do is walk up with 4 pizzas and he orders 30 $29, whatever, they throw you $1 or $2 tip. It's like, dude, come on,
Yeah.
a little help here. So, but I didn't, all the grief you get and stuff like that. So more power to you. But one day, okay, see, those are the stories we like. We like
Uh-huh.
those a lot. What I want to hear more about with you is you were a missionary for the Church of Latter-day Saints.
Yes.
So explain, because we all think we know who the Mormons are, who the Latter-day Saints are, and we Catholics, everybody's got, the Baptists have this and the Catholics have this. So who or what are the Latter-day Saints? What's the difference between that and Mormons? Is
Okay.
there?
So Mormons is actually a nickname of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So it actually is the same faith. Uh, so unlike other mainstream Christians, because we are Christians, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, we believe that the church that Christ built on the earth it's been restored. And so instead of continuing on through Catholics, the Protestants, we believe it was restored. And we believe in something called the plan of salvation or the plan of happiness, which details where we come from, why we're here, and where we're going, and our role in that, and our Savior Jesus Christ's role in that.
I know that and I only know this through sports, or I first heard about this in sports with BYU athletes. They could not go pro right out of college because they had to do a 2-year mission
Hmm.
trip. Is that all of you, the state of Utah, with all the universities? It certainly was at Utah. You chose to do that, or did you have to do that as part of your curriculum?
So you don't have to serve a mission,
Okay.
but we're highly encouraged to.
Mhm.
We believe in serving others and serving missions, and so yeah, I spent 2 years in Canada,
Yeah.
serving a mission and teaching the gospel and helping those that aren't quite as fortunate as I was growing up.
Do you get a say so in where you'd like to go?
You can suggest places where
Mm.
you might feel you're a better fit or where you might do better, but no, I did not pick to go to Canada. Some of my friends that ended up in Peru or Italy did not choose to go there.
Okay.
So
Mm.
can end up anywhere in the world.
And how many people? So let's talk logistics for a second. So this is after you graduate,
Hmm.
and they say, Mitchell, is it 2 years? 2
Yes.
years. Okay. So we're sending you to Canada for 2 years. Do they tell you exactly what you're going to do, or how does that evolve?
Yeah, so actually great sales training because yes, they ship you off to what's called a missionary training center in which they teach you what to say, how to teach the different lessons. Make sure you know your Bible, your Book of Mormon quite well, uh, and yeah, you get shipped off. But yeah, there's quite a bit of training and quite a bit of work. They don't just throw you to the wolves. It's actually very well organized from hierarchy, having district leaders, zone leaders, a mission president, and reporting in. You wake up at a certain time each day. It's
Oh, really?
it's like
Okay.
gospel military
A little bit of
almost. So
military,
yeah,
right? Was the
build
how
some
long was the
discipline.
training?
Uh, the training itself was only 3 weeks, but you spent 2 hours each morning studying.
Okay. All right.
So it's a lot of it's ongoing
And your
as
training
well.
center was in Canada?
My training center was actually in Utah.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
but there are training centers all over. Mine
Okay.
just happened to be one of the biggest ones, which is in Utah
Yeah. And
itself.
then how
So
many of you in that group went to Canada?
that time, there's many different missions in Canada, so it'd be really hard to say.
Uh,
Hundreds?
Did some friends of yours, I mean, did you go with some friends or?
No.
Okay, it doesn't
Yeah,
even work that
I
way,
was
right?
when I got up there, I actually ran into some people I knew from the past, but
Okay.
no,
Mhm.
it was among strangers.
Did they
And
pair you off going to knock on
yes,
doors? Okay,
you always have a mission companion with
okay,
you.
that makes
So
sense for a number of reasons. One is safety, I'm sure.
yeah, there's the reasons it's better to go 2 by 2,
Mhm.
it's more effective, but
Yep.
there's also liability,
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah.
you're gonna,
I'm with
meet
you.
some crazy people, and we did meet some crazy
Oh, yeah,
people,
the book you guys could write with no names involved.
yeah,
'Cause you get 100 different reactions when that front door opens, don't you?
yeah, and, some areas, is Calgary, Canada for a lot of it, some of the areas are fine, but also spent a lot of time on Native American reserves, and that's hard. The life those
Oh,
poor
yeah.
people
That's a whole nother world, isn't it?
have, and
Yeah.
it's a third world country when you go, and I'm sure not all reserves are like this, but a lot of the ones I've seen, I mean, these poor people were just shipped off to land and said, "Hey, good
Mm,
luck. Here's some money. You know, you don't have any other structure, but hey, you guys will turn out just fine."
mm,
So a lot of addicts, a lot of violence,
yeah.
and so those were little scarier situations being
In
on those reserves.
in general, were people receptive?
Yeah. Um, as long as you approach people with love and
Mhm.
respect,
Yeah.
people are usually going to react well to you, even if they don't agree with you.
And I agree with that, and I told this story, we're talking about sales, door-to-door sales, and this happened about a month ago. There was a guy that knocked on my front door, and so I walked and opened the door, and he had stepped back to the first step off the porch, and we had a wonderful conversation
Mhm.
because he respected that boundary there instead of just looking, when I opened the door, his face is right there. I am more than happy. So going back to your point, I'm more than happy to have a conversation if you're right there because I don't know you. You could be
Yeah.
anybody. So tell me why you're here. Again, on a Saturday at 2 o'clock. I kind of know what you're doing, but I'm happy to talk with you. But he handled it and we chatted for a little bit. I was not a potential client for them, but I had no problem with that. So back to your point, it's a lot of it is the approach, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've definitely experienced that.
Oh
So,
yeah, yeah.
there's a difference between showing up on somebody's doorstep and saying, "Hey, you're going to go to hell,"
Even that's it. Yeah,
or to say, "Hey, let me share
yeah.
something with you that's made a big difference in my
Hmm.
life. That's brought
Yeah,
me a lot of happiness."
yeah.
There's a huge difference in how you
And
approach and how you
yeah,
serve people.
and not to underscore the value and relevance of what you do in these mission trips, but man, that's some seriously good sales training, isn't it?
Yes, I actually remember um, sitting down with CEO of the company I work with when I got started in merchant services, and he the current director of sales at the time, I was just a field trainer, and this guy probably had about 20 years on me, been in sales most of his life. The CEO points at him and he's like, "Who do you think has knocked the more doors out of the two of you?" And of course, the sales guy goes, "Oh yeah, yeah, me." And the CEO points at him. He's like, "No, he has knocked way more doors than you have.
Oh yeah.
He went at it for 2 years day in and day out,
Hmm.
sun up to sundown." And yeah, it it's pretty hard to be afraid of rejection after
You learn how to
doing
take
it
no,
for that
don't you?
long, and
Oh yeah.
and and you learn to respect it.
Mhm.
You learn to find grace in rejection and to learn that it's not the end of the world if somebody says no to you.
Yeah.
And you learn to appreciate and respect people even if they don't say yes to you. So,
And a lot of times when we talk to folks in the small business world, because somebody says no on Monday, February 10th, doesn't mean no forever. It just means just not right now.
yeah.
So just because they say no, I, I I'm of the group that's not necessarily an indictment on you, Mitchell, knocking on the door as to whether you're good at what you do. It just the timing may not be right.
Yeah. No, I agree
Yeah.
wholeheartedly. It just because it's
So,
not now, it
how
doesn't
many
mean not ever.
doors did you guys have numbers you had to hit or numbers of doors you had to knock on? We quit laughing.
Uh,
Come on, man. This is how my mind works. Again, I'm into the logistics part of this.
some missions do have like numbers of doors. Ours was more based on the number of people we talk to and what we meet.
Oh,
And
okay.
so as a means to an end. You knocked
Okay.
on this many people to teach this many people or to find service. You talk to these community leaders to see what the area needs.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it is structured in the fact that you have goals and then you want to meet those goals or exceed those goals. So yeah, a lot of prep work for sales went
Oh,
into
yeah. Was there
serving
any
as a
doubt you
missionary.
were gonna do the mission?
Not really. It's a scary thought being away, 19 years old and being shipped off
Mhm.
somewhere for 2 years where you don't know the culture, you know, I I wanted to be a doctor, so
Yeah.
that meant 2 years from that.
Mhm.
So, but most of growing up, I wanted to do it. My father had served 2 years in New Zealand
Oh, wow.
and came
Okay.
back with a great love for the culture,
Mm.
being able to speak Maori. You know, any
Nice.
Tongan, Samoan he ever
Yeah.
met was they were instant brothers, instant friends, and so
Nice.
I saw that difference it made in his life, and I knew I wanted it for myself as well.
That that's scary, right? I mean, you're leaving most people are leaving. Is everybody leaving the country or most people leaving the United States on these mission trips?
Just from the fact that there's more people outside the US
Yeah.
than in, yeah, but there's people that are missionaries in Ohio, there's
Okay.
missionaries right here
Yeah.
in Raleigh, North Carolina that might be from, Michigan or,
Yeah.
Louisiana,
Okay.
but yeah,
Yeah.
a lot end up in South America, Asia, uh, Europe,
Yeah.
all over the world.
Yeah. Looking back on this, what impact did those 2 years have on you as a husband and a father?
Ah, that's a really good question. Uh being funny enough, being around somebody all day, every day, teaches you how to get along with other people really fast. And I thought I was easy to get along with before my mission. Turns out a lot of my mission companions would probably tell you otherwise. So being able to uh, learn how to get along with people that are different than you and love and respect people that are, have their own different desires, goals, ambitions, uh, was great training for being married because
Yes.
it teaches you how to, be able to be patient with shortcomings and understand that we have our own shortcomings. It put a big old glass mirror in front of you being on a mission, and I
Oh,
saw
yeah.
all the faults that I
Yeah.
thought I didn't have. So,
What I like about you with you saying that is the successful people understand their shortcomings.
mhm,
The fakers or the posers, like, oh, I can do that, or like, oh yeah, I can do that too, and I can do payroll, I can do sales, I can cut the. No, you can't. You can't do all of that. You just
yeah,
can't. So I like the fact that it's a good learning trip as well.
yeah, absolutely.
Was this a paid? Where did you get like
No,
3 squares a day wherever you
it
lived?
they you actually, come up with a lot of the money yourself.
Oh,
Not all of
really?
it. The
Okay.
church subsidizes
Okay.
because no kid's gonna come up with,
That's
enough
2 years of
to
living,
live 2
yeah.
years, food and,
Alright.
housing. So, no, you weren't paid. You're
Wow.
given enough to be able to buy your meals, to be able to,
Okay.
given a fuel card for gas if you had a vehicle.
Oh, okay.
So
Alright.
it's not like we starved or we were poor, but yeah,
Yeah.
I eat my fair share of what's called, pierogies,
Yes, yeah.
because that's a very cheap staple,
Oh, yeah.
so I
It's
could
yeah.
eat that inexpensively.
It's the, missionary version of ramen for college students.
But yeah,
Buy this many for 88 cents, and I can eat the whole
sure.
week with this.
But yeah, no missionary was out there
Okay.
to, um, make money or have a career. It's
Yeah.
you're at hopefully you're out there for the right
Did you
reasons.
get a chance to come home, see family during that 2
No,
years?
you're
Really?
separated for 2 years, you're fully immersed.
Wow.
You could still talk to your family via letters, phone
Okay.
calls, and everything,
Alright.
but yeah, you're up
Wow.
there. You're more effective when you're immersed, especially if you're speaking a foreign language.
Yeah.
You gotta stay immersed in that foreign language to be effective
It would make sense, yeah.
rather than, hopping back and forth.
Alright. So did you learn
Yeah.
hockey? Did you become a hockey fan up there?
I'm not much of an ice skater, unfortunately, but, I was pretty mean at floor hockey by the
Okay.
end. I was already a big guy and a football player,
There you
so
go, yeah, okay,
I could
alright.
hold my own if I was on my 2 feet and not
Did you know what
skates.
cold was before you moved to
Oh,
Canada?
no. Oh, no.
You thought you did, right?
I -40, -50 is
Oh,
so much different than
jeez.
what people like,
Yeah,
when it's cold enough that 10 minutes of exposed skin gives you frostbite,
yeah.
that's what real cold is,
They didn't
not
make you guys go out on days like that, did they?
no.
Okay,
When it
good.
gets cold enough,
Yeah,
you're in
but
your
that's a whole
place.
'nother world of weather. Oh,
But
jeez.
I made sure to experience it. I bundled up and went out and built a snowman in that weather just to
Did you
say I
just
could. So, uh,
looking on your, work history here, I saw you were a recipient or member of the President's Gold Club?
President's Gold Circle.
Circle, sorry, for
Uh-huh.
what?
So merchant services.
Okay. All right.
So means I was one of the top
Okay.
performances in
Wonderful.
that
Good deal.
industry.
I want to go back to, because we have a little bit of time left. I want to go back to the role that New York life played in your small business thinking.
Okay.
Most people refuse to acknowledge that they have failed in a business. For those of you who have, please raise your hand.
Uh-huh.
There's many of us here. It's okay to do that if you learn from that. And it sounded like from the comments you made earlier that you did learn from that.
Yes,
Because
absolutely.
a lot of times it's, okay, I don't want to do this.
Mhm.
But so what was your takeaway from that, and how did you apply that to what you're doing now?
So there was quite a few things I learned from failing with New York life. One of which being that it is important to. I think people, despite a lot of popular beliefs, I think people can still be uh, highly successful even if they don't have a driving passion for it.
Mm.
Because I mean, the dude that owns the big fertilizer company, do you really think he's passionate about fertilizer? Can you really be passionate about fertilizer? Maybe you can. But I do feel it's important to be able to stay committed and intact. And I wasn't overly excited. I saw a way that I thought I could provide a good lifestyle for my family and have a lot of freedom. Um, I learned that I had to put a lot more effort into a business than what I originally thought. I learned that I need to be around the right people. I didn't learn networking while I was with New York Life. That's something I learned.
Yep.
BNI was one of my first networking things I joined when I went in the East Coast. I'd never been to a networking meeting before that. So,
Networking is hard, but it speeds up connecting the dots if you understand how to do that. But you're right, most people who've joined BNI have never networked in their life and
mhm,
have no idea how to do it. And that's one of the things we find, that if we can teach them almost anything, just teach them how to network. Just walk into a room of people, or the thing they should learn is bring a wingman with you.
yeah,
That life's a whole lot better when you so at least you know there's one person to talk to.
yeah,
But you're right, without networking, and it's not easy selling insurance.
mm-mm.
It's boring, it's hard, most people don't want it because, "Oh, I don't need it right now," and they really do, but man, that had to
Yeah,
be
so
hard.
I have a great amount of respect for
Oh,
people that have
yeah.
become successful in that field, because it would be hard for me to be successful in selling something that's buy this in case, you know.
Yes.
You might
Oh,
not ever
yeah.
use this, but buy this just in case.
Yeah.
So a lot of kudos to those professionals, and a lot of my friends did do very well with it. I just didn't click. I didn't put in the right amount of effort, the right
Mhm.
amount of discipline. Wasn't well enough connected, and so there's a number of things I
Yep.
learned from failing there.
Long as you learn it to apply it,
Right.
you win by that. It's also hard on the selling part of that to understand along the way of what you have to put into it. Because you guys have, I'm sure you had numbers to hit. You got to make 100 phone calls a day or 75 a day, whatever it was. And man, that can beat on you after a while. But what I've learned with successful small business people is you're educating. When somebody thinks they're being sold to, if you're doing your job right, you're educating them
Yeah.
to make the right decision.
Absolutely.
And the right decision may not be, I'm sure you've looked at businesses before where you can't improve on the deal they have, right?
Absolutely. Or perhaps there's even been times where they've wanted it, and I say, and I've had to go, um, no,
Yeah.
this isn't good for you. Like, after looking at your situation,
Yeah.
you know, talk to so and so. This would probably
Mhm.
be a better deal for you where
So,
you're at in
yeah.
life.
What's
So,
the growth goal for 2020?
good question.
So
So,
this is your fifth year. We coming up on your fifth year.
yep.
What's the goal? What's the next target for 2020?
So another additional 100 clients,
Okay.
uh, which shouldn't be too hard, but I'm also making sure that the right type of
Mhm.
clients,
Right. Is
focus a lot more on mid-sized chains
okay.
and larger companies.
And those are long sales
Yes.
cycles to get to a regional chain, right? Because you got to talk to 22 different people.
Yes. So long sales
Yeah.
cycle. So I need to expand the sales force as well.
Okay.
Get
Who all's
get
with
some
you
more
now?
people
Just how
rocking.
many people do you have?
So I just have 5 contractors.
Okay.
So not full-time employees, but other people selling.
Okay.
And then have some admin staff behind the scenes,
All right.
and then some call center folks here and there.
Other than that,
Yeah.
right? Piece of cake.
Other
Yeah,
than
okay.
that, I'm still the
Right.
number one salesperson.
You should
I'm
be, yeah.
still the one that usually needs to make most of the growth happen.
What role does Julie play in the business? Because I'm much curious to see what role the spouse has.
Cheerleader.
Okay. All right.
She does
4
a good
kids. Yeah,
job.
she got enough on her plate.
Yeah, I can't ever get mad and say, hey, you need to help me more with the business. She's got enough on her plate. I will say she's done a great job with designing things. If you ever see my presentation,
Okay.
I put together the information, but she's the one that makes it look good.
Okay.
So she has a good eye for detail. It's that artistic side of her, I guess, making things look good, and a lot of my materials. So she has helped quite a bit with that.
My wife is my quality control. Whenever I hear from her, you're kidding me, right? Probably should move on from that. Yeah, so,
but that's
her
too.
role. That's all what I asked her
balance.
to do is like, hey, what do you think about this? She has no role in the business except I'll run things by her. It's like, hey, so conceptually, here's what we're thinking. What do you think about this? And wonderful insight to practicality. But it's important to have that support system there.
That's a good partner to have.
So if you or anybody you know has a small business, if they're paying way too much money on their credit card transactions, please give Mitchell a call. Prometheyan.com. Mitchell's number's been on the screen here. It is 703-589-5465, if my old eyes can read that right. So please give him a call, as he's told us earlier. Even if the deal's not good, even if you have a better deal than what he can offer you, he'll tell you that. Stay with who you have, but he will keep in touch with you because you never know when things change. So, Mitchell, we appreciate having you on today. Good luck with everything. More importantly, good luck with 4 kids. I know that's a handful in the house, so a lot of mouths to feed. So Mitchell could use some business. So everybody give him a call. 4 mouths to feed and a wife who's watching the 4 kids. And we'll see you next week on Triangle BNI.
Thanks, Mike.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. If you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it in the archives section at nissancommunications.com. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Twitter, and like us on Facebook. Sponsored by Telestream's Wirecast software, StreamingGear.com, Carolina Apparel, and DeltaForce.net.